Welcome to our podcast. I'm Jess.
I'm Mandy.
And we are drama bonded. How you doing?
Oh, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm constantly existing in a blur lately.
That makes some sense.
But how are you?
I'm good. Kind of sore. I don't want to jinx it, but I am officially back to training after everything.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, but I feel beat up for sure. But it's also kind of nice. Yeah. So
Yeah, you're back in it.
I'm back in it. I forgot how painful it is when you're actually really trying to push yourself limits wise. So it's good and bad, but
Mostly good, though.
mostly good. I just need to remember to hit my protein for the day, and I probably wouldn't feel quite as bad as I do. So
Moral of the story, eat more protein.
always. I know nobody wants to. It's the hardest thing to do, but eat your protein or drink your protein, whatever way you get that sucker in.
At least it is for us anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I am not a meat person. We've got a fun thing to review today.
Candy reviews with Mandy and Jess.
Oh, yeah. So remember how we decided that there isn't a lot of candy left out there for us to review, which we will still review candy as we find it.
For sure.
But today we are going to review Pop-Tarts Crunchy
Poppers.
Poppers. So even though our little jingle says candy review, we're just going to now loop in
Everything else.
fun edible things or drinks.
Yeah, we had the episode that I deleted. We talked about poppy sodas, which I would read as poopy. They were good. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna play around with what we review. But these, I am kind of particular about my Pop-Tarts. I'm kind of with you. There are some thin crisps that they used to have in grocery stores that I think are a little better than the poppers, but
They kind of look like a little dog treat. So you have like
they do the little sausages.
Yeah. So you have like the crunchy outer crust of the Pop-Tart, and then I feel like there's a lot of filling.
Which is my issue.
Yeah.
Because first off, brown sugar Pop-Tarts are the only ones that I want to eat. I don't really want sugary fruit filling. I just want sugar filling. So, but I do like the texture of the crispy pastry part. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, and then it does taste like a Pop-Tart.
It does taste like a Pop-Tart.
I didn't see the maple brown sugar ones,
They usually don't. They didn't have them in the crisps either.
but they
But
had a brownie one. And what's the difference between that and a brownie one?
oh, brownie is like chocolate, like chocolate crust, chocolate frosting, chocolate filling,
I
and
know,
then
but I feel like you could do a brown sugar version of this. That's disappointing.
oh yeah, no,
Because
you
the br-
absolutely could. They just don't for some reason. I don't know. Isn't that the most popular Pop-Tart?
1,000%.
Yeah.
In college, my roommate, Alice Nicole, she would always get all of the weird Pop-Tart flavors that I had never tried. So like the cinnamon roll one and the cookie dough one. And a lot of those are way better than I expected them to be.
Somewhere there's a banana bread one.
Really?
Yeah, and I look for it all the time, and I have yet to find it. So if anybody finds it,
Do
let
they
me
still
know.
make it?
I don't know. I should Google that. But sometimes I like the thrill of the hunt. Like, is today going to be the day that I find it? So I just don't want to ruin that for myself.
That's true. Maybe just know if they still exist or not so that you're not constantly disappointed.
That's true. I swear they do though, because I saw an article about it. But then again, Google is shady as shit now, and it'll just push you whatever. So it may not even be accurate these days.
That just really made me want banana bread with butter on it.
I'll make banana bread with butter on it.
Yeah,
I'm on
so
it.
good.
Okay. Well, we've got 2 episodes we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah. Thank you guys again for staying patient and fluid with us. We're still kind of in this flux period.
I also just had the most adult week of my life where I had back-to-back meetings, and I all week have just been running from one thing to the next. So I also just did not have time that I normally have.
So it was for both of us.
Yeah, it was a lot. I need my life to slow down.
And I know a big part about successful podcasts is consistency, but right now
We're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, we're consistently inconsistent, and we mean well, and we love you guys, and we're showing up the best way we can. So thank you if you're still here and willing to listen.
Yeah, we do really appreciate it.
So the first thing we want to talk about is there was some drama around the iHeartRadio was what it
Best dressed, worst dressed
it was the
list.
awards. That's
The
what
awards,
it was.
yeah.
So they had an iHeartRadio award show, and a lot of Bravo people were there.
Including Rachel, Katie, and Dana from season 8.
And Katie and Dana are now doing a podcast together called Disrespectfully. And I think they're just really close friends in real life. I guess Dana's also really close with Ariana.
Yeah. This is not an ad for that podcast, but
No.
it does exist.
But I have listened to it and I enjoy it. So if you enjoy them, try it out. But I guess the award show did like a best dress list, and Rachel was high up on the best dress list.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately, Katie and Dana were listed on the worst dress list, which everyone should go check out their outfits. I think we will post them on our
Yes, I was
social
about
media.
to say, I am on this. I have the photos.
Because I heard all of this drama and I didn't see their outfits until yesterday when Jess sent them to me. And I was like, I honestly would wear what Dana and Katie are wearing over what Rachel is wearing.
I would never make it out of the house in what Rachel's wearing.
And don't get me wrong, she looks stunning in it. She obviously has like a model figure. She's beautiful. She can make anything look beautiful. It is a very traditional, sexy dress.
Yeah, with the corset and some sheer elements and a lot of leg, and it, she does. She looks amazing, but I also think it veers into like the conventional, sexy, sort of for the male gaze kind of dress, and that's fine. But what Katie and Dana were wearing felt more stylish, more fashionable,
edgy,
yeah, and like clearly things that they chose that they really liked that sort of represented them rather than trying to do something to wind up on a best dress list. Like they were dressing for them, and that's always more my speed.
Totally. I felt like it aligned with their sense of style that we've seen consistently, which makes me like it for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here for big sparkly things, sleeves, looser cuts, because man, the stuff, like looking at what Rachel's wearing, I don't know if you have this problem. My stomach hurts just kind of generally all the time if I'm not careful. And when I wear stuff particularly tight, that doesn't help. And then when I go to events, there's really good food, so I eat too much. And then I don't fit in what I'm wearing and I hate it and I'm uncomfortable and I want to go home. And I just feel really like a stuffed sausage, where I feel like stuff like Katie and Dana's is like, that's the kind of stuff I could be out in all night and feel really good in for the whole time.
Yeah.
And confidence is like the name of the game.
I mean, ideally I want to feel comfortable in what I'm wearing, but I also believe that I'm willing to feel uncomfortable for fashion if it is the right look for the right occasion. That being said, the dress that Rachel's wearing, I could never pull that dress off, just because when you have a dress that has like structured cups like that, you have to be able to fill the cups, and never doth my cup runneth over. Let's just say that.
My cup runneth over too much. I just would like not be contained. So yeah, also a no for me. Like I would have a wardrobe malfunction.
I do appreciate now that I feel like lingerie or underwear is kind of coming into mainstream fashion, where people are doing a good job of kind of like finding that balance of like wearing your underwear as clothing. But that being said, I do think the top of Rachel's dress kind of just looks like a lingerie top with like a formal skirt attached to it.
Yeah, there's nothing really
It's not
exciting
very
about
creative.
it. No, it's not. I'm with you. It's an easy, sexy button, and that's sort of that.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think Dana and Katie, I think they all look amazing.
Yeah.
I hate best and worst dress lists.
I also don't always agree with them. But the reason why there's drama around this is because apparently after this was posted, Jo went on TikTok and posted a little reel where she showed like Rachel being like best dressed and wrote a little note saying how good she looked and she was proud of her friend or something. And then she scrolls down the page to like worst dress and like pauses on Katie and Dana's photo and like circles worst or something. And then Rachel shared this reel.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, okay, whatever. We know that, I don't know, we know Jo isn't a big fan of Katie. Katie's not a big fan of Jo. Like, this is kind of in line with some of the drama we've seen this season.
Mm-hmm.
But then Rachel goes on to her podcast and does an emergency episode to basically admit that she was the one that kind of initiated the idea of this with Jo, and that she is feeling regret over that choice.
Yeah.
So then we hear about it on Katie and Dana's podcast about everything. And then I guess Rachel goes and texts Katie an apology. And then they're talking about that. I don't know. All of the drama just feels really high school to me. Like she said, they said, mean girl. Like, I don't know. It's all very, like, Katie thinks that Rachel's being performative. Rachel feels bad for doing it, but also like, why was it done in the first place? Like, I don't know.
I think it's all kind of true. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier off the pod, but like I was this person in my 20s of just like struggling to figure out how I fit in with certain groups of women. And I definitely had those moments where I would do something and I felt like really vindicated and then like immediately was like, oh, dum-dum, why are you doing this? Like, this isn't helping. This is making things worse. You're pouring fuel on the fire. And the kind of wishy-washy, like you want to stand up for yourself and like kind of like position yourself in a way where you're like, I'm going to be fine. I'm coming out on top. And then suddenly you've like knocked yourself to the bottom, but dragged other people with you. I don't know. So like, I'm not saying that I approve of any of it, but man, do I find this relatable. But also, Katie's a lot older than that. And so like, yeah, I don't know. It's not a good look for anybody. It just like everybody should probably know better and take a pause before they respond to all of this. And the fact that they're not just makes it hard to feel bad or like, I don't know. Everybody kind of sucks.
I think Katie's stance is a little bit like, why is she doing this? And like, why are we even like having to talk about it? Like, I think Katie doesn't even really want to acknowledge it or talk about it, but the internet is talking about it. And I'm sure, like, as
Yeah, that's a good point.
someone that has a mainstream podcast, you want to address the things that people are hoping to hear about on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that Katie is trying to like further it or make it bigger than what it is. I think she's just acknowledging it and being like, I don't know why like this is happening.
It's happening because when you're in your 20s, you're not as smart as you think you are.
I think, yeah, that's a good, that is a truth.
No offense to anybody in their 20s. I'm mostly speaking for myself and like reflection of the things that I did. And I'm like, not so smart.
Yeah. And I think, I do think it's good that Rachel apologized if she felt like she needed to. I think it's like, maybe you don't need to do a whole podcast episode about it. Maybe you can like mention it on an episode or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? I just don't think it needs to be bigger than what it already is. And maybe she'll learn from it and we can avoid something like this in the future.
Yeah. Rachel's been really reactive lately and I'm kind of
Yeah.
bummed about it. She really turned a corner for me in terms of like, I think she was showing a lot of growth and a lot of awareness around things. And then once the season really got going, it just devolved a little bit. And
Yeah.
it feels like she's just responding to things and fine. But it's also worth noting that like what's happening in the show is like last year,
Right.
just shortly after the affair broke. And she's responding to it in real time. And it's like, the rest of the cast maybe isn't there still. And it's tricky.
It's not a great look.
It's not a great look. I'm also not tuning in. She had one where she was going on Never Have I Ever and sort of shit talking people. And I get it. I mean, we're here shit talking these guys too, but I don't think it impacts our mental health the same way that it's probably impacting hers. And if
Right.
her whole objective is to grow and move beyond this, I need her to take a second and take a step back and do something different.
Yeah, and I think like I hope that she really manages to pivot while she still has some relevancy into a new space that doesn't just like frame her in the scandoval of it all forever. Like I want her to use her platform to pivot to something else she's passionate about or that she feels excited about, because the thing is after this season, I don't know how much longer her relevancy is going to last in the Vanderpump Rules sphere.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. I think she is pretty reactionary right now and it's harder to listen to. And so I don't know. I hope she figures it out. And maybe like this hiccup thing with the iHeart was like a reality check for her. I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope it is. Because I do think I've enjoyed some of her episodes. I think that her bringing on specialists
Yeah,
in
same.
therapy for specific things is really enlightening. And even if it's a little bit more related to her experience, I think just sort of listening to health professionals or mental health professionals talk about these things is really interesting.
Yeah.
And especially as it relates to everyday life and then how that's different in reality TV,
Mhm.
I find that very fascinating. So
Yeah.
there's some good content there. She just needs to lean into that or something other than responding to everybody on Vanderpump Rules. But I digress.
Yeah, because what happens when her name isn't in their mouths?
And it won't be because these people move on at like lightning speed.
Yeah.
Ariana's already hanging out with Tom in events or parties. And it's like probably not fine, but it's fine, right? Like it's just, we're going to move on from this. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
We'll see how it goes. We also wanted to talk about Allie's new bop.
I love it.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm a solid pop person, 100%. I like Britney Spears will always be my person. And this song from Allie is fantastic.
She's got a good voice.
She does have a good voice. I just have to say, Saul's probably going to kill me. My hat keeps bumping this microphone, but I'm not taking it off. Okay. Sit back. Yeah, she's got a great voice.
Yeah.
And it's so fun.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Team Allie.
Yeah, Allie's been lovely this whole season. Actually, last season too. She handles all of this with such poise and grace and is like dropping truth bombs just really casually.
I know that James is in the music video. I wonder if he helped produce the song at all or if there's any overlap with that.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd be curious how that all went down. Did
Yeah.
she write it? Who wrote it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's look into that. Well, should we get into last week's episode?
Yeah, so we're going to do a little catch up as we do right now. And we're going to be doing episodes 12 and 13 of Vanderpump Rules. And then we will end with a brief coverage of 5 and 6 of The Valley.
Yeah, which we're not loving, just as a heads up.
Yeah, guys, I felt like The Valley had a strong start. And now I'm like really I feel like I'm on the struggle bus, even making myself watch it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, let's start with the good stuff. Episode 12, speaking of music videos, Sheener is recording.
Did you just call her Sheener?
Sheener. Is that what I heard Brock say it this episode, and Lisa says it too, and it makes me laugh.
I think it's because of their accents.
They're Australian and British, respectively. So, Sheener.
Okay, Sheener.
I'm not loving her this season.
Well,
So
amen. How do you feel about her going blonde? I think she can pull it off.
she's so beautiful. I will say I'm so sad about everybody not owning real teeth anymore. And she is one of those people that I think was so beautiful with like, she had good teeth. She looked great. And now the blonde is great, but I have a hard time like seeing past her mouth.
Yeah, why is everyone getting veneers? I mean, if you have to, and like they will, improve your quality of life. And I don't know what your tooth situation is. Obviously, certain people need them and they
Right,
look
there's-
better from them.
Absolutely. There's a
But
time and a place, but everybody's
getting veneers.
who's got great teeth. Like there's nothing wrong with real teeth.
People on The Bachelor, people on Bravo. It's like, I feel like it's one of the trends right now.
Yeah. And Sheena is one of those people where I look at it and I'm just like, they don't fit in your mouth.
Yeah, she has a really small head.
Yeah. It kind of, yeah. Everybody keep your teeth, please.
Unless you can't.
Yeah, unless you can't. I do think she looks good blonde. I'm
I
here
think
for
so
it.
too. I didn't think I would like it as much as I am.
So she's filming Good as Gold.
Why? Why are we doing this?
For
The screamo version or the emo version? Which is she even singing? They were playing the song in the background during the scene, and I feel like it's like wait, who the band's the 47s?
the 27s.
Oh, the 27s.
Yeah, but it's for like Kyle Chen's whiskey thing or
I don't know. The OG version of the song was better. I also don't know why she's making a music video for a song that's 10 years old. I don't know. It's just like, can we move on? This song.
no,
is-
we can't. We cannot move on. Well, we do by the end of the episode. We have a new song. So we'll
Oh,
get
yeah, I
there.
actually like that song. Okay.
But
And
Katie stays home from the music video recording.
Good for Katie.
Yeah. I love that Katie's just not interested in doing things for everybody else right now.
So while this scene's happening, we find out that the group hears about Raquel's appearance on Bethany's podcast.
The first time Rachel officially goes rogue.
And that's a pretty big deal because I think, at least in one of the podcasts I listened to, I found out that she was being approached by Bravo to still make an appearance on the show up until she appeared on Bethany's podcast.
So that sort of sealed the deal of like not doing it.
Yeah, because I think she went on and basically said a bunch of stuff about Bravo she wasn't supposed to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so maybe that was like her way of like burning the bridge,
Yeah.
lighting that shit on fire.
Sometimes you got to do that. Everybody's take, like, of course, everybody's upset about it. But I kind of love that Sheena latched onto the one thing that probably is true and then was like, can you believe it? And I was like, yeah, actually, I can, with her savior complex.
Oh.
Because Sheena's just always running around. She's more of a martyr, but still.
I also was, why is Sheena mad that Rachel had sex in her bed? If she's living at your apartment and sleeping in your bed, if she's going to have sex, she's going to have sex in the bed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, if I was subletting a space, I would anticipate people would be having sex in the bed.
Yeah.
If I didn't want them to, I'd probably just take my bed out of the space.
Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, we've had dog sitters, and I'm like, you know, I'm just not going to think too hard about this. But boyfriends have come over, so.
Well, and the thing is if Sheena and Rachel were still friends, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't be a big deal if Rachel was having sex in the bed. It wouldn't be a big deal if she was paying $1,000 a month because Sheena was doing it to help out a friend.
Yeah, and like have a mattress cover and wash your sheets. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sheena. So I don't know. Obviously, nobody's like super pumped about that, which makes a lot of sense.
And Tom is listening because he wants to know what Rachel has to say. And
Nothing good,
yeah, she says she was never in love with him.
which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to see all their reactions, but honestly, I feel like their reactions are kind of what I would have expected them to
Yeah.
be. Like nobody's going to be thrilled about it, but I also feel like you brought up the point that they're all doing this at this point for the storyline.
Yeah.
And so also none of them, aside from maybe Sandoval, really had that heavy-handed of a reaction.
I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this, but if it wasn't for a storyline for the show, I'm pretty sure the only two people that would have listened to it would be Tom Sandoval and Sheena.
Absolutely. They deserve each other.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so then Brock and Sheena come over to help clean Ariana's house because they're worried about Ariana's mental health for once.
Well, and I think what prompted this was Lala asked if she could use Ariana's house that she's now interested in
now that you're okay with Ariana living there now that you want to use it?
for a sperm donor party. Yeah, and Ariana's like, nope, the house is gross. And so I guess Sheena, not having a savior complex, goes over to clean the house. And it's disgusting, and it's mostly all of Tom's stuff. Like shoes on the dinner table, Christmas presents.
Well, it's because he doesn't have Anne anymore. And
Yeah.
apparently Craig, the new assistant, though cute, is not an Anne.
No, he's not.
Tom must not hold him accountable to things because he's not a woman.
Yeah, it's fine. Craig can do whatever.
Wow.
So Sheena and Brock, mom and dad show up. I don't know how clean they got that house. Like that would take a long time to clean that house. It's huge and it was messy.
Yeah, I think Ariana's boyfriend was even like, nope, peace out. I would need hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It just kind of like bugs me how much shit Sheena's talking about Ariana and then has the audacity to show up and try and be like, we're going to help. And it's like, but you're not.
Yeah, and I think that that's interesting that Sheena can like live with herself in both of those spaces. It's like, so you can shit talk her and feel this way about her, but then you're also going to like show up and try to act like you're doing her these favors.
Well, I think there's a way in which Tom Sandoval and Sheena are very similar. And it seems to me that Sheena is one of those people that can convince herself of her own lies. And I really do believe that Sheena believes that she is just worried for Ariana
Mm-hmm.
and that this all stems from a place of deep, loving concern.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. And so I like, right? That's how I don't know. Because I'm with you. I don't think I could like really live with myself being so duplicitous.
Like, pick a lane.
Yeah. You're either over Ariana living in the house and feeling the way she feels, or you understand and you want to be there to help her. But like, stop or don't shit talk her on national television.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that was weird. Didn't love that. What I did love
Oh my God, I loved it so much.
so much.
So much.
James is the hero of this motherfucking season, you guys.
He's number one in the group.
Number one.
Forever.
Yeah, it's probably, well, give it time. But yes, as of right now, there's no stopping him. But I died when he showed up to Sandoval's band practice, which Tom bopping around on stage in his dipped out t-shirt just like made me hate him more.
I had to let Jess know that was a merch attempt.
You guys, he tried to sell merch.
Yeah, Dipped Out is a reference from last season when it was the first, I'm using air quote fingers because I don't know if we're entirely sure, but the first night that Raquel stayed the night, when Ariana was out of town for her grandma's funeral.
Yes.
And she was late for the tasting thing at SUR the next day. And there was all these different variations of if she stayed, if she didn't. And Tom just kept saying she dipped out. And then that went from dipped out of the house to dipped out of the backyard into the guest room.
Yeah, not clear. It is vile that he had that as merch.
No shame.
No shame.
No
You said
shame.
that, and like that was already just stupid, and I hated him for it. And then you told me that, and I was like, that's honestly just takes it from 100 to 1,000,000.
Yeah. Also, he did not sound good singing.
No, he doesn't sound good. He doesn't look good. He's a garbage person.
But he's going on tour.
But the winning moment of this episode was James came to talk to Tom, and Tom was trying to do his thing where he's the victim and so sad that Rachel doesn't love him.
Yeah, he brings up the podcast.
Yeah, and James is like, first off, I don't want to keep talking about the Raquel or the Rachel of the thing anymore because like I'm over it. I want to move on. I don't want to talk about it. And Tom is like, but I love her. And James is like, no, you guys don't love each other. It was hot and fun. You like to fuck in a bathroom.
It was a fuck fest.
Yeah, but like there was no affection. She just jumped from me to you. And no.
I could not, and I can believe it now because we watched it, but I keep thinking like Sandoval cannot keep surprising me in these heinous ways. And then when he's like standing there arguing with James and trying to diminish James's 5-year relationship and engagement with like his love for Raquel, it like made me want to scream. And I was so impressed that James didn't punch him in the face.
No, James just was calmly like, no. And then Tom had the audacity to ask him to go on tour and open up for him. And James was like, no.
No, bro.
I've moved way beyond opening up for you at whatever shitty bar you're going to be at.
Bow, bow, bow.
I loved it.
Mic drop.
And he just, like, there was nothing that Tom could say because James just was so calm, cool, collected the whole way through that conversation and just matter-of-factly just dropped the mic repeatedly.
Even on his way out the door, Sandoval's like, yeah, go push buttons on your laptop or whatever. And it's just like, are you that small that you, I don't know. It was,
well, can we also say that we got tickets to go see James perform and it like is sold out and none of Tom's shows sold out. And that was probably peak famous for Tom.
Yeah.
And they were like giving tickets away to try and fill the venue to make it look like it wasn't the bust that it was. And I forked over way more money than I ever thought that I would to go see James.
Guys,
James Kennedy DJ.
We're going to see DJ James Kennedy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a good night for sure. So I don't know. James can push buttons on his laptop and I apparently will pay to see it.
Same.
Or listen to it, I guess. That's probably more what we're in for.
Yeah, I don't know. I just was really impressed with the way that James navigated all of that bullshit.
It really does seem to me like sobriety, 1, is very good for James, which we all knew that it would be. Alcohol was clearly not for him. But 2, it really does also appear that he is in therapy off camera and is working through stuff just by his ability to have harder conversations, not get so heated. And he really does seem to have a good handle on what's going on. And he's really not bogged down by the fact that it was Rachel. He's still like maintaining the fact that his frustration is with his friend Tom.
Yeah.
And that really is where that lies for him. And that's a really good place for James to be. And it's really too bad that Sandoval is just not a good friend.
A one-dimensional shitty human.
Yeah. That it's only about Tom Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. But go James. That conversation was epic.
What did you think about the sperm party?
Part of me wants to really like this because I think it's a fun concept, but then it's Lala, so I'm just over it. Fuck her. That woman has no principles, no morals, no standards, no values. Like, I don't care about Lala right now.
Yeah, she's really hard to root for, and she's in turn hard to be invested in. I thought that this party would have been a fun concept too, but I just don't care.
I don't either. I did have to laugh at her mom being like, but he cooks. And Lala had to be like, we're not choosing the man. We're choosing the sperm.
Yeah, that was great.
That made me laugh.
You don't cook.
Yeah. That's a mom move right there to just.
Somebody's got to cook.
Yeah. Also to throw shade at your kid on TV. That tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed fun. I'm glad, I guess, for Lala that she's in a financial position where she can go to a really swanky ass sperm bank and do this and like doesn't have to have somebody that she knows jack off into a cup and use a turkey baster on her own. Cool. I'm kidding. I don't actually know if anybody does that. That's just, but it does seem really bougie.
No, it does. I wonder how expensive it is. I have no idea.
I Googled it and the range is vast.
Like, give me a number.
I want to say that it was like $900 to like tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
So, and I mean, right, probably the caliber of people that they're attracting to come donate sperm is different. Like how much they'll pay the donors, I don't know.
I wish they would have given Allie the birth chart information. I was like really interested in that idea.
Yeah, but as they pointed out, they didn't want anybody to like, that's too much detail. And like the exact time and place a person was born, you're going to be able to narrow that down real quick as to who that is.
Well,
maybe. I don't actually know. Are birth certificates available?
I don't know. I was going to say, like, I'm sure that this place has like their social security numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it would be interesting if we could have gotten to know more about the guys in that aspect. But
I agree. I think that would have been fun. Allie made me laugh. Allie's also bringing it.
Anything else about the sperm party?
I like that Lisa was kind of put off by all of it too, just sort of generally.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know why she's on the show.
Me neither. So that they can use her house for the sperm party.
That's true. Lisa does have a really beautiful home that has swans at the entrance.
I would like to go visit the ponies.
The ponies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have anything to add. Yes, I would also like to go visit the ponies. That sounds really fun. And I would kill to have swans. So, but
let's transition to one of my other favorite conversations that happened this episode.
Oh, Tom and Tom talking about moving in to Tom and Ariana's house together.
So Tom starts the conversation saying that he's going to start cutting Maya in half because he has decided that to defend himself in the Maya, him almost murdering the dog scenario, his angle is to tell everyone how much he loves the dog and how much he's going to miss the dog. And now he's a victim because Ariana's going to take his dog away.
And so he talks about sawing the dog in half. You guys.
We've never heard Tom talk about the dog
also,
until he almost murdered the dog.
He has got a problem because he also brought up like Scott Peterson not that long ago.
Yeah.
What is his deal? This man is just...
As he has a leg knife on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a look. It's
Who's just casually hanging out in their house with shorts with a leg knife?
Tom Sandoval. Tom Sandoval.
Anyways,
Another surprise, I guess. But I love where he's talking to Tom about it. And you and I both had the same reaction to this, where Tom's like, well, how much would it be?
well, wait. First, we have to
Oh,
say
okay.
how Tom Schwartz knew what he was going to ask before it even
That's
came out of
right.
his
That's
mouth.
right.
And he's like, "Don't do it. Don't ask me.
It's not a good look.
Yeah,
We can't do this.
Bad optics."
But also, what would my rent be? And Tom Sandoval just says 6.
I admitted to Jess, I thought he meant $600.
I did too. I was like, do it. That's wild. Move in for $600. No, $6,000.
Schwartz's reaction helped me understand it wasn't $600.
Because Schwartz was like ready to throw up and was like, I can barely afford $4,500.
Well, I don't understand how Tom's argument was, but you're paying $4,500 now, as if like $600 was like a deal.
Yeah, that $1,500 more to live in a house was like totally worth it. And it's like, well, better be, because you're not going to go anywhere. You can't afford to even drive at that point. Like,
and Schwartz being like, someone's gonna make voodoo dolls out of us and torture us, and Sandoval being like, someone already did that. It was just this moment of like casual dark humor in the reality of Tom Sandoval's existence. I don't know. I just found it delightfully hilarious.
yeah, and it isn't a good look. And it kills me that Tom Sandoval is trying to convince Schwartz that this is a good idea. And Tom is like, we'll refinance and we'll put your name on it too. And we listened to Danny Pellegrino, and he finally kind of recognized why it is difficult for the move to happen. And it's like, yeah, in order for Tom to get the money to give to Ariana, they have to refinance the house. You are then also, that's basically like repurchasing your house and pulling all the equity out of it. You are then subject to whatever the interest rates are, which we found out were like 10%. And on a loan of $3 million,
Yeah.
that is astronomical. And like, it kind of blows my mind that somehow this isn't all part of the conversation, and that like Sheena and Lala also don't seem to recognize this. Like, when you do this kind of thing, it's a little trickier and it's complicated.
They think that Ariana is just taking baths in money.
Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. And obviously rent in LA is ridiculous. $4,500 for the apartment that Schwartz lives in makes me want to die.
Yeah.
No. That's like so many of my mortgages. It's too much. So TBD, I guess, if that is going to happen. Probably not now that there's like actual girlfriends involved.
Yeah, I would assume not, but I really enjoyed the funny conversation.
For sure. It was good. Then we moved to James and Allie talking, and James is really into Allie, and he wants to have babies and get married.
Yeah, and she's like, I have never been one of those women who felt like called to be a mother. And I don't think she was saying in that conversation, like, I don't see myself having kids. I've just had friends that have always felt really passionate about it, and I've never felt that way.
Yeah, and that's legitimate. She's also still young. She's 25, 26.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't need to be making that decision right now. She's got the better part of 14 years to be making that call before like pressure starts piling.
Yeah, and I think, we do see James get emotional and say that like he's in love with her and he sees that future with her. And so, I don't know, that is sometimes a hard thing to navigate, is making sure you both want the same thing, and that I think the most important thing is communicating about it fairly regularly.
Yes. I can be a little personal here. Like, I was at a point where I wanted kids and Saul didn't. And we had to learn how to keep showing up to that conversation and having it, even though it was really painful for both of us, until we were able to come to some sort of agreement or figure out a way to move forward.
Mhm.
And it's hard, and it does sometimes end in tears. So like, it also made sense to me that James felt that way and was like that. But it did seem like they had a good conversation around it. And it's just, continually showing up and struggling through that. And hopefully at some point they do come to an agreement one way or another. But
And didn't James acknowledge, like, she's only 25? Like, when I was 25, I wasn't thinking about any of that.
yeah, James was definitely not thinking about that.
Right.
So And, I don't know if they didn't buy that house together. There's still like more steps that have to be taken, I think,
Mhm.
too, for their relationship for probably before like that's going to be on her mind anyway, especially if she isn't feeling called to motherhood.
Yeah.
So I get that. I'm glad that they're showing this kind of stuff. That's the stuff that I like to see on reality TV. Like, let's have the hard conversations.
Yeah.
Let's navigate this because people don't want to talk about that, but we should. So,
Well, it makes them more relatable.
yeah, I was here for that. Girls brunch.
Oh, yeah. So we have the girls' brunch at Tom Tom because that's what they were prepping for earlier in the episode. Which I will admit, the food looked pretty good.
It did look good. I love a good brunch.
At the brunch, Katie approaches Lala because she heard from Allie that Lala was saying that Katie is miserable. And I love how Lala's first line of defense is, did I use that word? Is that literally the word I used?
God, I know.
Instead of just talking about what is being said, she's like, I didn't say that word.
So funny. It's a very Jax moment, right? To
Yeah.
be complaining about
Semantics.
semantics rather than acknowledge the sentiment was there.
Unhappy versus miserable. Okay.
Lala did use the word unhappy, though when they cut back to the scene, Lala is about to say miserable and then is like, unhappy.
Yeah. Very calculated.
Yeah, like, this is going to get watched back on replay. And Katie defending that, like, she's not unhappy. She's good. She's just not interested in the bullshit. And this feels like we keep having this conversation with Lala and Katie. I don't know.
They can't seem to get on the same page. It's almost like they don't know how to support each other right now.
Which happens,
Yeah.
right? There are just some times where moments in your life you aren't able to show up for somebody else because of what you're going through, and that's okay. But they seem incapable, at least Lala seems incapable of really being able to acknowledge that two things can be true and that Katie has a right to feel some of the things that she's feeling, even if Lala is entitled to feel the things she's feeling.
Yeah, and Lala keeps doing this thing where she is like, I'm soft right now, but then she's not
Screaming
Yeah,
it.
she's not softly being soft. So I don't know. I will say there's like a lot of underlying tension and discomfort in their relationship right now. And I feel that in almost every scene that they're in together.
Yeah. I will say it does almost seem to me as though Katie is confused in a way that you and I are too, of just really not understanding what the fuck.
Well, and I don't know. It's so tricky to know like what parts of the show are real and what parts of it aren't. But I wonder if Katie's like watching some of the choices that Lala's making, like with Sandoval and talking to Joe and stuff like that. And she's like, what is Lala doing for the show? And like, what is Lala doing for her?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much they are talking about that, understanding each other through those things. I don't. So if I was Katie, I might just be like, maybe I need to keep you at arm's length right now because I don't understand why you're making these decisions.
Yeah, I feel that. So I don't know. And then they decide they want to go back to being the Spice Girls.
Okay, I thought this was an interesting conversation. I definitely think that Lala is more Scary Spice than Sheena.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think Sheena's Baby Spice.
Sheena is Baby Spice.
Well, actually, Allie would be Baby Spice.
I know. Yep.
But before Allie, it'd be Sheena, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And Katie's totally posh.
1,000% posh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does that leave Ariana?
Ariana could be Ginger.
Ginger. I have the weirdest, like, Terry Howell, Ginger Spice, is married to Christian Horner, who is the team principal for Formula One. And man, shit is blowing up right now. But it always makes me laugh because I just think of him as Whiny Spice.
I don't know if we have a Sporty Spice.
We don't have a
There's
Sporty
no
Spice.
one really sporty in the group.
No. Where I was going with this, though, is I think Sheena could just also be Whiny Spice.
Oh, yeah. That would actually be perfect.
Yeah, so we'll just make that happen.
Okay.
Sporty Spice, yeah, nobody's rocking any sporty vibes, I think. But
What Spice Girl are you?
well, when I'm running in my dumb shoes that I have to wear because I have a bunion again, apparently, I feel like Baby Spice. Like, They're like 4 inches thick, so that
Are they Hokas?
no, they're ultras.
Oh, okay.
But same thing.
Yeah, same
My
thing.
mom calls them waffle stompers, which makes me laugh. Like, I don't know where that came from either, but that's a funny phrase to me. But yeah, I feel like I'm running in platform shoes. I'm gonna sprain my ankle. Although if I have to put like my money on it, I don't know, probably would be Sporty Spice.
I think you would be Sporty Spice.
By default, just because I have to wear clothes that fit my body. And unfortunately, it's none of the things that the other Spice Girls wear. So it has to have elastic.
But I feel like you've done a good job of making that super chic.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work, but I have definitely arrived where I feel comfortable and confident in my clothes. So I am pumped about that. What about you?
I was once told that I was Scary Spice, and I took that as a huge compliment.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I would say scary or posh, but I don't think I'm like reserved enough to be posh.
It's true. You're a good mix of them, though. I think you could flow either direction for sure.
All right.
You've got really phenomenal style, but you definitely take risks, but it pays off.
Oh, I love that.
And you're
Thank you.
bold. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Sheena's other song.
Okay, have you listened to the song?
I did like last year when it came out,
Yeah.
but I have not listened to it since.
like
Sheena's not
it.
exactly on the top of my list. I don't recall hating it. You said that it was a little like really poppy, and I recall that too.
It kind of had like an Avril Lavigne vibe to it, or like a Kesha vibe, like a little bit punky poppy. I don't know. I was just like, I like this better than Good as Gold.
Yeah.
which is a low bar. I think I was just pleasantly surprised by how catchy it was. But there were some pretty catchy lyrics, like the one that they reference in the show about going from a Ferrari to a Jetta.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you'd know better. That was very smart.
Totally.
And Tom is pissed. I don't blame him. I'd be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that's so frustrating with Sheena, right? Is like she does this shit and then she's surprised that there are consequences. And it's like, Sheena, bold move. I love it. Glad you did it. You should have written that. It is really like, that's a good line. But how did you realistically think Tom would respond to that? Given the way that Tom has responded to everything.
Yeah, especially with the timing of it. Maybe if the song had come out like the beginning of the season where everything was already on fire, they could be like, haha, about it now. But I feel like this keeps coming up where
It's
Sheena is
perpetuating it.
Yeah, she's taking advantage of the situation to gain from it. And Tom is like, and I don't really care that Tom's sad or mad about it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know what she's expecting. Like, I don't know what exactly what you're saying. Like, is she just thinking he's gonna laugh it off, especially with the timing of Raquel's podcast coming out?
Yeah, it just feels like Sheena is always surprised that she's not as beloved as she is, or that she's not as beloved. Yeah. Anyway,
And then when it
her
is
shit
about
stinks
her,
too.
when it is about her shit, she's like, "Oh no, it's not. I'm fine."
Yep. So I don't know. I'm glad she pissed him off. I'm glad the line's in there. Also understand why Tom's mad.
Yep.
So that moves us into
Episode 13.
episode 13.
God, I was fine with Jax coming in that one scene at the end of the episode before they started the valley and like lighting everything on fire, just because it was great television.
Yeah, it was needed.
But I don't need more of Jax Taylor on Vanderpump Rules. It feels forced. I mean, I know a lot of them are still friends with him in real life, but he just doesn't work in the group dynamic the same way anymore.
No, he doesn't, because while Tom and Tom, James and Brock probably could all stand to grow up a little bit more, they've definitely grown up a lot more than Jax. Like, Jax has not, like, I don't know, he's stuck in a weird time warp that's not working for him.
He's stuck in season 8.
Ugh, yeah. I don't like it. It was really funny, though, that the Chiron was ex-Sir employee.
Oh my God. I love that. His little goofy face, like popping above the fence and that. I was like, okay, the producers love us because
That's gold. Yeah, and also speaking of fake teeth, like, Jack's face. It's jarring.
Yeah.
Jax and James are also a weird pairing.
Because they used to hate each other.
And I guess now it's good, and James is DJing.
They're putting on a brunch at Sir together,
Yeah.
which ends up being funny because Lisa's like, why is Jax Taylor hosting a brunch at my bar?
As if Lisa doesn't produce the show
Yeah.
and know that this is all happening. Get out of here. Lisa was...
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So that's the opening scene. And then the only time we get Brittany,
It's a conversation with Sheena.
where they're both unhappy with their respective partners.
Yeah, and then they also talk about like Sheena's anxiety and stuff. But I think that the point about Sheena feeling like Brock is so insecure about his lack of job is pretty interesting because I think Sheena is basically saying like I'm fine making the money. I mean, I think Sheena I don't know. I think Sheena wants money. I think she'd be happy if her partner was like contributing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think she's like Brock is good at supporting me the way he is. And I wish that Brock could be more okay supporting me the way he does.
Right. There's a couple things. One, did you catch the whiteboard over her sink?
Mm-mm.
First off, terrible place for a whiteboard. Like, who is writing that? Secondly, it is so packed full of writing and like shit. And Sheena just seems like, and they talk about this in the after show, like Sheena wears the pants. Sheena does need somebody to come in and support her. And you're right. She's happy to do all that work. That's good for Sheena, but it probably wouldn't work as well if Brock had a job and was distracted and gone and not there for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dynamic does work, but it doesn't seem like Brock's on the same page. And well, he's clearly not because, right, he's having lunch with his buddy at the same time and talking about his career prospects. He wants to go into movies.
In what way?
I don't know. This was in the after show and it blew my mind. He's like, yeah, I'm in Hollywood. Why wouldn't I just want to be an actor or a
Oh,
producer or a
no.
director? And I know as soon as I heard that, I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. So many red flags. No.
Don't do it.
But I guess he's got some projects in the works.
I don't know. I thought, okay, I will admit the beginning of this season, I was like, okay, Brock is like showing up in a way that is refreshing with some of the Ariana stuff. And now he's done a 180 and I'm completely like anti-Brock. I feel like he's very thirsty. I feel like the commentary with him and James in the after show, like something is just off about him.
Well, and that was kind of feeling that way in this after show in particular too. As soon as he started talking about getting into Hollywood, and especially given the way he's dressed,
Yeah.
the way that like it all kind of starts to like slot in, and it's like, ugh, nope.
Yeah, so that's giving me like ick vibes. I also heard that like Sheena took him off the house, so I don't know if they're having like marital issues.
She had a prenup too, which is good for
Right.
her. Happy about that, but she brought that up. I was like, whoa, okay.
But in their anniversary dinner, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit. I thought it was really cool that Sheena was like, maybe this is the opportunity for you to show up and like be the great dad that you didn't have the ability or opportunity to be the first time. And I don't know. It seems like Brock is a very, he sews, he cooks, he's very resourceful. He thought about being a farmer. And if he would just like allow himself to find like fulfillment in this like homemaker role, and maybe he could do something with that. Like maybe he creates his own vlog of like stay at home dad, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he's really thirsty for attention or fame in that way, like I feel like there are niches that he could fill being a crazy buff Australian guy or New Zealand. I don't know. She mentioned New Zealand last episode, and I
Oh,
wasn't.
maybe it is New Zealand, and I'm sitting here saying Australia. I'm sorry to anybody who might be
Yeah, we
from
don't
one.
know.
I know there's a difference. I know.
But I'm just saying, like, a man's worth doesn't have to be his career.
Yeah,
And-
the patriarchy hurts everybody, and men being forced into this having to be the breadwinner and provide is not a good spot for people to be in. It's just like it's not. And if he works in a stay-at-home dad role, and I don't know, it's too bad that he can't find fulfillment in that, or that what's bothering him is the should be making
like,
money.
I'm a
The
man.
should.
I should be
Yeah.
providing.
It's like, no, you should be supporting your partner in ways that work for both of you.
Yeah, what's the best for your relationship? What's the best for you as people? And then if he is really passionate about something that he's really driven for, then like, yeah, go do it. But it seems like he's a little lost and he just wants something because he feels like as a man he should have something.
Exactly. Yeah, that really bums me out. And I don't know. I'm worried for him and Sheena. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like they're on the same page on things. And like that is a tricky spot to be in.
Yeah.
And again, I'm glad that they're showing these things. Like, I do hope they're both I guess they have to be comfortable if they're doing this, but it is always interesting to me to see those types of relationship dynamics play out and how people navigate them. So,
What do you think? There were there was 3 significant mentions of Brock and Lala. So the first one
oh
was
yeah,
when Sheena was talking to Brittany about her anxiety, and
mm-hmm.
she said so many people, and this could just be Sheena trying to
Make it about her.
create a better storyline for her. But she's like, so many people reach out to me and like, do you see the way Lala's eyes light up when Brock walks in the room? Which I feel like that just seemed like a really desperate attempt for Sheena to have kind of like her own smaller version of
Oh,
Scandoval.
for sure.
And then when they were hanging out, Lala made a joke about like, "Oh, let me call my husband to see if I can go to the pool party."
And Brock answers.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're calling me." He says something like that, and I was like, "That's weird." And then the
No.
fight at the end, Sheena references to Sandoval like, "I'm worried about stupid things, like what's going on between my husband and Lala, and like you put that in my head." And like, I just feel like all of a sudden this is like existing in this world, and I'm like, whoa. Like, where
Yeah.
is this coming from? This seems like it's kind of coming from nowhere.
I know. And part of me, yes, I'm glad you brought this up because I had this thought. I'm like, there is part of me that understands where Sheena is coming from, especially with allowing Tom Sandoval to still exist in the group and like basically gaslight all of them to be like, why are you all acting like anything is wrong? I didn't really do anything that bad. Nothing's really happened. And then on the flip side of it, it's sort of like, well, Sheena, like, it does make sense to me that she's feeling that because, yeah, he is behaving this way. But then, I don't know. It's like, it's complicated, right? Like, I do kind of get where Sheena's coming from. And then part of me is skeptical. I'm like, yeah, is this all just for show of she just wants to have her moment of being the ultimate victim? That like now her marriage is on the rocks because of what Tom Sandoval did to Ariana. And it's like, well, then you need to be more secure in your relationship. But
Right.
at the same time, it is wild that Tom Sandoval did this.
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't know
I
him
was
as
just
well as you
like,
thought you
whoa,
did.
where is this coming from?
It is really bizarre. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it was just a coincidence, but when Brock responded to Lala that way, I was like, that was weird.
Yeah, it sucks because I think Brock is kind of funny and sees opportunities to like get in there. And especially now knowing that he wants to be like a Hollywood somebody, him inserting himself in all of these ways
inserting himself so much.
in not good ways.
Not good ways.
It's like, buddy, sit down.
He's
Shut up.
stirring the pot.
He is. And I think that this was probably just like a really thoughtless moment on his part. And also I don't know. I guess I hope maybe Sheena hasn't vocalized that to him before
I was
because
gonna
if she
say-
has, whoa, buddy.
Or what if she vocalized it in the sense of like, hey, I'm going to kind of like push this idea that there might be something weird between you and Lala to create drama.
Oh, for
Like,
sure. Sheena's a showman.
I don't know.
She is. I know. It's always a little suspect with her.
Lil sus.
Lil sus, for sure.
Okay, sorry, we jumped all around right there, but I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I think that's valid. Well, we can talk briefly then about the Tom and Katie date.
Oh yeah, I will admit that watching Tom and Katie interact in such like a lighthearted, casual way is very entertaining for me because we've seen so little of it.
Yeah, they have such good chemistry now that they are not married.
Can I say something that's been on my mind?
Yeah, I love it. Say it.
After exiting a very long-term relationship recently, I just want to say fucking justice for Katie.
Justice for
Because
Katie!
The beginning of last season was like showing the tail end of their divorce, and basically their storyline went nowhere. But you know what? Even if it made sense and it was the right call for them, ending a 12-year relationship with someone that you care about as a friend is brutal.
Yeah.
Selling your house that you bought, like ending a relationship with a partner you saw yourself building a family with.
Well, and that they both have talked about that they still love each other, but they just couldn't make it work. Like, it just wasn't a good spot for them to be in. Like, yeah, that's excruciating.
I just think it's crazy that we've seen them as a couple the entire show up until last season, and then it was just like poof into nothing immediately.
Yeah. It just starts with the season opening up and asking Katie how she's doing, and then we just move on.
And then Katie gets painted as the bad guy for being frustrated with Tom for being an asshole.
It's like, well, that's been the problem the whole time. Yeah, I've liked Katie. kind of through all of this. And like, yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one. I think Tom has been really, really awful to her and continues to be that way. And it sucks that she's not gotten more opportunity to really expand on that without him.
I mean, regardless of whether the Max thing was a revenge bang or not, I'm really fucking glad she did it.
She's so hot.
She's so hot.
She's probably fine. Well, I don't know. Dating's hard no matter how attractive you are, right? Like, I don't want to diminish like how difficult that is, but she is not hard to look at. It does not surprise me that people want to sleep with her.
Yeah.
So,
and now Tom wants to again. So
oh yeah, that's in the preview. Stupid Tom.
I kind of love it.
Did get to sleep with her a lot, and you ruined it.
But I mean, as a woman, having your partner of so many years come back and be like, hey, one more time.
That's got to feel pretty good for her.
But whether she does it or not, that's a win.
For sure. For sure. Let's get to the scene that I think we maybe have different takes on.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the convertible scene first?
Sure. I think for me, it there was something about the scene that felt very much like vintage Vanderpumpy in the sense that it was just like the Toms fooling around like dumbasses having a good time. And I feel like we have such little levity in the show now that like little moments like that, I'm like, yes, finally, something just fun and stupid. That being said, I do think that they thought they looked like cool.
Oh, yeah.
And they definitely, like, I was laughing because they didn't look cool. They looked silly and like tryhards. But I think like I need more scenes like that are just like stupid and fun because this season has not been fun.
That's a really good point. Like, I'm sitting here bitching about it not being fun, and then the fun that I do get, I'm like, no, not that fun. So, yeah.
But it was like so over the top, like Schwartz's red glasses and his like mustard yellow striped shirt with the vintage white Ford convertible, and then them just like jamming like assholes down the street. I just
on the way to get a tattoo of the two Butters and the other dog on. Yeah.
I don't know. It just was a moment of levity that I really needed, even if it made them look kind of stupid.
That's fair. That's a really good way of looking at it. I just couldn't tell if the show was like seriously trying to convince me that they're cool or if it was like making fun of them.
I think maybe both.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, But I hear what you're saying. It was a moment for sure. And it's probably going to live rent free in my head for a little while, which is annoying, but fine.
Yeah. And I think the song that was playing in the background was like talking about how he lost his mind a long time ago. And ever since then, he's been like rolling or something. And I was just like, this song is so appropriate for Tom Sandoval, you know?
It's true.
I don't know. I just thought it was a stupid scene, but I enjoyed it. I also feel like Tom Schwartz dyed his hair blonde and all of a sudden he's like dressing in a way. I'm like, has he always dressed like this? Or is this like a part of his glow up? But I'm into his fashion choices lately.
Yeah. Everybody has been shitting on that hair. And I feel like you and I are the only two people that I know. And by no, I mean that I've heard from.
Logan, who was the bartender at Tom Tom, was into it.
That's right. Okay, so
I feel like if a gay man says it's good, then we are aligned with the right side.
Absolutely. But Danny Pellegrino doesn't like it. So
okay.
There's even infighting there. So I don't know. But I like it. And I'm with you. I think Tom is feeling it. And that's, again, confidence.
I was going to say he referred to it as a glow up. So as long as you're in tune with it being your glow up.
So true. Yeah, it is. It's Tom's glow. We'll roll with that. I love it.
What did you think about his dog tattoo?
It was done really well. I was like ready to hate it, but I don't.
It was pretty cute. I also I love Tom Schwartz's dog voice, like when he talks to his dogs.
Yeah, Saul and I also both have voices for Chewy and Indiana, so I respect it. Yeah. So it was endearing despite myself, and it was a good tattoo. So
I didn't think that Tom Schwartz was really considering moving in with Tom Sandoval, but then when they're at the tattoo parlor, they bring it up again, and then he seems like he's considering it more so than I understood.
For sure.
And so then I'm like, wait, what? Don't do it. Stop.
Yeah, but then that conversation continues later with Ariana.
Right. Well, he finds out that Tom Sandoval has a soda gun, and he's like, I'm in.
Yeah. Just buy a fucking soda gun. God, Tom, you're an idiot. I don't know. Tom Sandoval falls off the stool.
Oh, thank God. That was great.
That was awesome.
James and Allie go get facials.
That's actually, they're saying, is a workout. I'm like, I kind of buy it. I kind of don't, but I like it. Probably felt really good.
I would love to have a partner that would go get facials with me twice a month. And I would hope that they would maybe pay for them.
Yeah. That's the ticket, right? You got to be able to afford those facials.
Yeah. I mean, I can't afford to do that now. But
Same. And I do have a double income. Facials are not cheap. They're worth it, though. Just,
yeah, not cheap. So then we go to Jax and James's Sir brunch, which I'm a little confused at what this brunch is for. Is it just to get Jax back on the show to maintain like energy towards the valley? Like, I don't really understand why we're.
Yeah, I don't
doing
know. I mostly blacked out through this conversation after Lisa was upset, like the conversation about superfluous,
it. Oh, God.
which really, again, speaking of people who get hung up on like a word choice and then be like, I didn't say that. But then cut to Jax on the podcast literally describing superfluous without saying superfluous. So Lisa was just paraphrasing, but Jax has deniability because he didn't use those exact words.
You got to dumb it down for Jax.
He is so dumb.
He's really dumb.
Really dumb. Like, stupid. Like, I don't know. Like, Jax really struggles in life. It's kind of incredible to me that he's done as much as he's done when he really doesn't know the word superfluous or even the fact that he described it.
Yeah, and it's frustrating to watch Lisa act like she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, because she does. She's
a producer.
She knows. She saw that, like, they talked about it. They're like, we're going to do a brunch at Sir, and it's James and Jax.
But you can pretend to be mad.
Yeah, because, like, how fired would everybody be if they actually surprised her with that?
Yeah, and also she's producing The Valley. And so for being really anti-Jax Taylor, she has a funny way of showing it. I'm just saying, like, I don't like Lisa, but Lisa is very smart with her business decisions, and she
sure.
knows how to maintain this empire she has created. And even if she doesn't like Jax Taylor, she knows that Jax Taylor makes good television.
Yeah, so she's going to go along with this.
I just wish that she would play more of that role on TV where she's like a little bit more cut and dry and like business savvy instead of like
playing dumb.
Playing a bad actress who's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't love that role for women. Don't play dumb. If
Yeah.
you're not dumb, don't do it. And yeah, she's smarter than that. She's better than that. Just own that. That's a better angle.
Yeah.
Use Jax.
Jax,
Ride him hard and put him away. What? Is that the phrase? I don't know. But
ride him hard and put him away.
it's like a horse thing, right? Like, except you're supposed to dry your horse off. That's why they wear their little jackets.
I've never heard that. I like it though.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I made that up. But Lisa's also into horses, so it kind of fits.
There you go.
I'm on it, sort of.
Also, Jax needs to have some fucking humility and realize this woman is why he is anywhere in life.
Yeah, Jax is literally a nobody. His modeling career was nothing. He tried. Yeah.
He never did his sweater
I was
business.
just about to say he never did the sweater thing. Yeah, Jax is truly, truly insufferable. He is. I waffle between who I think is worse, but like, as much as I really want to rail hard on Tom Sandoval, unfortunately, I just feel like Jax ekes him out every time.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I can't even really quite put my finger on why, but I really, really don't like Jax.
Well, they enable each other's worst behaviors. So there you go.
They do.
Then we all go to a pool party.
I love that James is having pool parties, and this
Yeah.
one probably didn't cost him $4,000 or $2,000.
Well, now he's got all the stuff.
He's got
You
the
know what I
towels,
mean?
he's got the grill.
He's got the floaties.
Yeah, he's ready. The pool party.
Well, he goes up to Tom Sandoval to invite him,
Mhm.
and he's just like, look, bro, I don't want to stay angry. We should move past this. Again, James being mature. And he wasn't even the one that started shit. It was Tom Sandoval. And somehow he's like maintaining the peace. But I do think he did a good job in that conversation, checking Tom and being like, yeah, bro, I hope you just realize like what you look like right now. So in 6 months, when you look back, you don't regret like being an asshole.
yeah.
He didn't say that literally, but that's
like
what he was
he's
trying to say.
Right. You're paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Superfluous. I thought the conversation with Tom and Ariana was really interesting. She seems a lot
Way more chill.
way more chill. And like, I'll be honest, I'm with Lala and Lala and Sheena to a point of like wanting their friend to be in a good spot, because it is really good to see Ariana just sort of rolling with stuff and not feeling those feelings. But the flip side of it is it had to take the time it took, and
nobody acknowledges anything.
right? And it's just going to be the next time she flies off the handle rightfully over something Tom Sandoval does, they're going to come at her and be like, this is all you. And it's like, it's clearly Tom Sandoval, but okay. Cause she was great. She's not mad at Schwartz. She's like, this is a really expensive bromance, but you can go ahead and move in.
Yeah. Make your Mojo Dojo casa.
Oh my God. So funny. She's like, all day long. I don't care.
Dad bod Ken.
Yeah. So that was a fun conversation. Happy to see that. And the women talk to James about Hippie.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot here, and I understand both sides of it pretty clearly.
I texted Mandy as I was watching, and I was like, ugh, I'm on James's side because I really love my dogs. I really have a hard time going on vacation. I would not kick them out of bed. I would absolutely sleep in separate bedrooms. But then, like, getting past sort of that part of it, it's clear James has a lot of like legitimate trauma around losing the dog, Hippie being labeled a problematic dog. Rachel says this isn't true, that Hippie was put at a kill shelter and was like a day away from being put down because he'd bit multiple people. But like James thinks that's true. So that's what's relevant here. And so because James's brother can't watch the dog while they go to a wedding, they being Allie and James in Ohio, he's just going to not go. It seems like a really intense reaction, but then when you start listening to James talk about it, it does start to make a little more sense.
Yeah, and he obviously has trust issues in who he would even feel comfortable leaving the dog with.
Yeah.
Because it's not just an easy dog.
No, Hippie's a lot. And like you pointed out too, which was something I hadn't even considered, is like there's not just the dog, but then also keeping the cats and the dog separate while they're watching the dog. And so it's complicated, like genuinely complicated.
Yeah, and I think, like I told Jess, I'm 80% Allie, 20% James, because longtime cat owner before I got a dog. And for me, like, cats came first. I prioritized my cat's happiness with the dog transition. That was always really important. I think the biggest thing here is it's not really like cat versus dog. It's more so just like compromise. And I think Allie is the person in the relationship that tends to just naturally be willing to compromise more because that's who she is. But every once in a while, you really need to ask your partner to show up for something. And I think Allie is being like, James, I'm in this wedding. It's my best friend's wedding.
Yep.
I need you to show up with me. And this is something that I'm asking you to do. And so I think she is looking for him to compromise for her in ways that she has compromised for him with, like, I guess, allowing the dog to stay. That she didn't have a choice in the dog coming into the house.
So in the after show, Nia, Michelle, and Janet from the Valley were commenting on that. And Nia and Michelle were both like, ugh, my ex's dog? No way. No contact with the ex or anything related to them. But I thought Janet made a really good point. And, also, in case anybody didn't know, Sheena and Jason slept together. Jason is Janet's husband.
Crazy.
She's fine with it. Good for her. I love when women can just be like, yep, the past is the past. We're good. Moving on. Also, if you don't want to be friends with your exes, also fine. She was like, there are just some things you don't do without talking to your partner first. And like buying a car or bringing home a pet are probably like top of that list. And I thought that was really valid. James just shows up with this dog, and Allie knows how important Hippie is to James. So like she really did compromise there by just being like, okay, I guess we're accepting this dog without any input from me. And this is bad for my cats. But like she knows how much that means to James. So she's not fighting with him on it. They're just doing that. And so, yeah, at some point when that all kind of came around and I had time to process that, I was like, oh yeah, I do actually think you're right. Like James really does need to be the one to compromise here and try and figure out how to make this happen. Some way, somehow, he's got to find somebody and trust that this will be okay, because Allie cannot be the one making sacrifices forever here.
And I think they will, and I think they have.
They have. They
I
talked
think they're
about
in a better
it.
space. But I also think, like, when Allie's saying, like, it's hard to sleep because the cats are, like, clawing at the door to get in. And I have one cat that sleeps with me, and if I shut her out, she would be doing that too. And that would break my fucking heart if my cat was like, hello, I usually sleep with you. What's going on?
Yeah, I couldn't kick a pet out of bed for anything in this world. Like, nope, I will be uncomfortable. My hip problem was exacerbated actually by the fact that the dog slept with me and I sleep with my knees into my chest, which is the position that makes my hip hurt. But I was
Oh,
like, it's
God.
fine, whatever.
Yeah, I would kick a man out of the bed before I'd kick my cat out of the bed, to be honest. But so I don't know. I think it's tricky. But I also want to give credit to James for understanding that his dog is a hard dog. And that comes with like a lot of anxieties too. You can't just have anyone watch dogs if they're biting people or if they, are not easy to socialize. And so those are just things that they're going to have to figure out. And we're kind of seeing this in the beginning of them figuring it out.
Right. They haven't had Hippie that long at this point. So
Yeah.
they're still trying to figure that out. I will say the best thing that I ever did with my dogs was hiring a trainer to put Saul and I on the same page so that at least the two of us were consistent in our training. Like we needed to be trained to do the same thing with the dog every time.
Oh.
And that made all the difference. Like I think that is really something that does not get talked about enough. Consistency is what dogs need. So with two people agreeing to a training, like I think Hippie can get better and get along with the cats. And he is now. They do exist in the same space. So whatever they did, it did work. That was in the after show. So
Yay.
yeah,
Happy ending.
for sure.
Except not a happy ending at
I was gonna say, but not
the
this
pool
ending.
party.
Ugh. Tom just pulling out all the stops, right?
Again, I think I can't be surprised. Lo and behold.
Here we go again. How does this one start? He brings up apples again?
Yeah.
Yeah, and is mad that Sheena continues to profit off of it.
Yeah, and somehow they get heated and he throws at her that she used to be the other woman in a situation.
Well, she's leaving. She's like over it. And she had already been kind of having a spat with Brock over like who's putting the kid to bed, whether it would be the nanny or them. So she was
Brock wants to stay. She wants to go home.
So she's already kind of just feeling like, I don't know. I've got to hand it to Brock. The second that he realized this was happening with Sandoval, he was like right there by Sheena's side, telling Tom to back off. So
Small win.
Small win.
But as soon as the words came out of Sandoval's mouth, I thought Lala was going to just like Hulk out into female dragon mode.
Oh, well, Sheena too. She turned around and I was like, she's going to punch him too.
I was here for it. Somebody punch him. Do it. Do it now.
Do it. Yeah, if anybody needs to be punched, it's Tom Sandoval. Yeah, so that was intense.
But then again, she brought up the Lala thing.
Yep, she did. She's like screaming about that. You did this.
He did. And James was like, yeah,
I feel that way too. I love James like getting in there with that little brother energy of like, I'm in this fight too.
Me too. Me too. That was like a really good comparison.
But like, I do appreciate the fact that James is still the one consistently holding Tom's feet to the fire in that sense of being like, no, bro, you actually did do this. Like, this is actually something you've put in all of our heads. And your behavior is not helping. Like, it's hard to look past.
Yeah.
And it is.
And so Sheena runs off and Ariana's like, I don't want her to leave that way. And Ariana goes out and just like holds her and it's like, he's so terrible. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And it was just this moment of like, I hope watching back, Sheena has to sit with all the shitty things she's said about Ariana and how unsupportive she's been of Ariana and watching Ariana just show up for her in that moment.
Yeah,
And support
this
her
is
in a
exactly
very genuine way.
what she told Sheena would happen.
Exactly.
Like, Tom's not your friend.
Yeah.
Tom is only in it for himself. And the second that you're not providing him something, he's done. And he shows that time and time again. Well, Ariana and Lala and Sheena were all at Coachella, but not together. And there were no photos of them together or like any scene interaction. So I definitely don't think things are good.
Well, I mean, I know that Lala and Ariana aren't good because Lala deleted her as a follower or something.
Same with Katie.
Yeah.
And then also talk shit on Katie and was like,
Yeah,
sorry, Terry, I don't like your daughter.
I don't know if I knew the Sheena thing, though, that Lala and Sheena weren't good.
Oh, no, Lala and Sheena are fine. I'm sorry if I didn't say that, if I said that.
You said they were all at
Lala and Sheena were at Coachella together,
Oh,
but not with
okay.
Ariana.
Sorry, I
and
thought you were saying all three of them were at Coachella and none of them were together.
No. Lala and Sheena and another person that I don't know were all hanging out together.
Oh, okay.
And then Ariana was also there, but at no point was seen with the other group.
There was a funny story from Schwartz. He was on Nick Viall's podcast, but I guess he was at one of the shows and he was wearing like a Tom Tom hoodie that had like the lightning bolts on it.
Mhm.
And someone told him like, I just saw Ariana. And when he realized like Ariana was there and he was wearing the Tom Tom hoodie, he like rolled it up so that you wouldn't be able to see the lightning bolts. And it was like a guttural, like instinctual reaction where he was like, oh God, Ariana can't see me wearing this. And then the person was like, wait, is that really better than her seeing the hoodie is for you to wear it that way? I don't know. It just I could totally just picture Schwartz doing this in the moment.
He just reacts.
He's
He's
like,
not thinking.
Yep, like what?
Oh, man. Yeah.
All right, the Valley. So
Valley.
episode 5 starts with the women going to stay in that Malibu rental that Nia had access to.
Yeah.
So the girls' night, everyone seems to be getting along a little better. We do have a really awkward scene though where Kristin's like, I'm an empath.
Oh, it's like, no, you're just clueless.
Because, well, poor Kristin. I mean, I don't really mean that, but like, she says this, and then the editors just proceed to show us like clip after clip of Kristin saying the most heinous things, which I found delightfully entertaining. But I also don't think that Kristin's an empath, and I also don't think that an empath would like say what Kristin was saying about being an empath. It just felt really like Kristin wasn't really in tune with.
Kristin was in tune with nothing.
Yeah.
Kristin is not empathing anything. She's not picking up what anybody is putting down. She cannot read a room. She's not reading how other people feel. She's just, and like, she might be a good person, like in her heart of hearts, but she is not an empath.
No, and her saying this with this group of women who are already kind of
sick of her shit.
Not Team Kristin right now. I was like, oh my gosh, like exactly what you're saying. Read the room. Like, this is not aligning with these women at all.
As empaths, I know you and I would never say that. It would be like trying to like figure out what the best move is at this moment to try and just like deflect. Do not draw more attention.
It would be, how do I support the other women? How do I support Michelle talking about what Michelle's talking about? How do I support Nia talking about what Nia's talking about?
Right.
It'd be like, I'm just not going to talk.
Yeah, these are not the women that are going to be here to support me on this. I need to just support them and try and like not throw fuel on the fire.
Yeah, now is not the time to compete with their hardships. So I'm just going to like play the supporting role and show up for them.
Yeah. And like Kristin does have some hardships. She could have talked about the struggles to get pregnant, but no, Kristin had to talk about
being an empath.
Which empaths don't like low-key threaten their friends.
No.
Over and over and over and over.
No.
That to me was the theme of these 2 episodes, and I could not get past it. I just was like, what are we doing, Kristin? This is not the move if you want to maintain your friendship. And like pretty sure Jesse knows now.
I think the only person in the group that potentially could be an empath is Ariana.
Yeah.
And that's just because she's tried to like save so many friendships that don't like each other, and she's friends with both of them, and she's like caught in the middle, and she just wants everyone to coexist and be happy, and she doesn't know how to show up for people.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only empathetic thing I've ever seen on Vanderpumprules.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, I know we're talking about the Valley, but I was just thinking, like, who is an empath on this show?
Yeah, not Kristin. The girls' night looked fun. I don't know.
I felt bad. I mean, if Brittany has a drinking problem, like,
oh yeah, that also was intense.
You know, like that aside, I did feel bad that she was like, Jax, you told me I could like go and have a good time. So I go and have a good time, and now I'm getting like criticized for it. That's also frustrating because it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And yeah, like maybe her good time doesn't need to be blackout drunk, but also like Jax needs to show up the way he says he's going to show up and let her go and have a good time.
Well, also he's opening this bar. He's apparently going bald. He's like got all of these things where he's not giving her the attention she wants. So like also it makes sense to me that she's going to go out and party hard because I get this. Like, yeah, whether it's healthy or not, I don't know, but it does make sense. And he could definitely also find some empathy.
Yeah. Speaking of empaths.
God, Jack. Yeah, one of the things that I thought was interesting about girls' night was talking about sex and how often they're all having it. And I hate this.
Me too.
I just feel like so often sex is really only talked about from the male
Yeah, what
perspective,
men need.
what men need, rather than like what it takes for women to feel comfortable in a relationship to have regular sex is not ever talked about. And then I feel like, and maybe I think there are women out there, obviously, who are fine to have sex multiple times a week, don't mind, everything that goes along with it. But I think that there are unfortunately a lot of women that have a lot of trauma around sex, and it isn't so straightforward, and it gets complicated when you're in a relationship. And these conversations that focus solely on quantity over quality
Yeah.
just make me want to scream. I hate
Same.
them. Like, I don't know. It's taken me a very long time to work through a lot of my stuff. And so I guess I could be projecting maybe too much, but also this is a story that I've heard time and time again. And it's depressing to me to watch it on reality TV as though like this is the normal thing we could be talking about when it's like there's better conversations we could be having.
Yeah, instead of talking about like how shocking it is that Brittany hasn't had sex in a month and a half, it's like, well, like let me understand what's going on. Like, are you okay? Like, what's like, are you feeling
Is something
disconnected?
changed? Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, of course, because Jax is so busy and so stressed that like that's not happening for them. And that should be a focus of like, maybe you guys need to take time to connect. I don't know.
I
Like
was gonna
rather than
say,
be like, not having sex, like, oh my God, get out of here.
if there's a lack of intimacy, it's usually a sign that there's a bigger overarching like problem.
Yeah, sex isn't the problem. It's everything else, guaranteed. And
So
sex will come if those problems are fixed.
exactly. And so I just feel like we're minimizing it to like, oh, like how is Jax okay if you've only had sex for a month and a half? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's minimizing everything.
Right. It puts too much importance on sex. It takes away from also the complicated nature of sex. It's almost always entirely from a male perspective of quantity, like I said. Like it's gross. I hate it. I'm not interested in these conversations and they just make me mad.
I appreciate you bringing that up because that's also something that I can personally relate to. And I feel like it minimizes everything. I feel like it it's such a one-dimensional fucked up way of viewing like what a healthy relationship is, and it's so complicated.
And what intimacy is and what
Yes.
even is like, yeah, there's so
And
many
women
levels
need
to this.
intimacy too, and it's just different than the way men need it.
Well, and I think there's ways to be incredibly intimate without it being sex or
Yes.
like there's just it right? There's so many different things going on.
Yeah.
And also we're only talking about it from a heterosexual point of view. And
Yep.
I don't know. There's layers upon layers upon layers. And while I appreciate reality TV shows having conversations, these ones make me mad because I feel like it just does more damage than it does good to be putting this out into the world even more.
Well, and then like Jesse, he's made a couple comments about how he hasn't really had sex or like had a sex life since they had their daughter 3 years ago. And it's like, okay, but like how fucked up is your relationship right now?
Yeah, and also he admitted how many episodes back where he's like, "Yeah, I just didn't evolve like a parent like she did." I'm sure that's not attractive to Michelle to be with a guy who is not showing up the way that she hoped he would as a parent or a partner in that. So like, yeah, it makes sense, buddy, you're not getting any. And it's not because you had a kid. I mean, sure, that's the catalyst, but like it's actually back on you for not being part of a partnership.
Yeah.
And just kind of the unwillingness or the way that all of them in was it last episode where they were at the county fair and they were all talking about fucking their wives with their kids who are all like within
Earshot.
earshot and probably old enough to like repeat words and kind of pick up on stuff. Kids are so smart. People don't give them enough credit.
Well, yeah, his 3-year-old is like, "Daddy, I'm going to drink your margarita."
Yeah. She definitely knows daddy's not fucking mommy because she's heard it a million times in the last 2 minutes.
And even if she doesn't understand what those words mean, like kids remember.
Yeah, so I don't know. That just like really bothers me on so many levels, and I'm really disappointed that that's the way that this has gone.
I feel really sad that Nia ended up having to leave because, I mean, her husband being at home in a 90-degree house with screaming babies, but also it's like we learn about her like postpartum depression and how much she's struggling.
Yeah, she
Just
needs
like,
time with
Jesus
her girlfriends.
Christ,
Let
just
that
give her a
woman.
night.
Yeah, call somebody else.
Call
Make the boys end boys' night and come help you.
Yeah.
Like, do not call her back. But then also, she left really quickly and was kind of okay with it. So I was like, was this like,
Maybe she was happy to be home with her babies.
yeah, that one's a little harder. I do think Nia and Danny have a really good relationship, it seems, like at least from what we can see. I don't know.
I was impressed with the way he responded to her sharing how much she was struggling.
Yeah, that she was like, this isn't just post baby blues. This is like, I'm depressed. I'm struggling. And she's like, I thought that because I was doing all of these things, I was fine, but I'm not. And he was great about that. He's like, we'll get you the help you need. I don't know. That was also good to see. Like,
Yeah.
postpartum depression is very real and it doesn't manifest. I mean, depression generally doesn't manifest, I think, the way that sometimes people think it does. It's not just you being sad and not doing anything. It's so many things.
Yeah,
So
you can be high functioning and depressed.
absolutely you can. Yeah. That's a thing. Um, what else about these episodes? I guess the guys were having guys time and talking about Michelle potentially,
Yeah.
which is the other arc.
So Jesse makes it sound like therapy is going terrible and that it's just like a slog. When I think it's really just Michelle being honest in therapy and him having to sit with that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear that. He thinks he's pretty cool shit. So,
Well, he opens up and tells the guys that I guess it was like a year prior that she was like looking into getting her own apartment.
yeah, she was going to move out. And ew, the other thing that I hated was that they were implying, or I think Luke asked, Luke does stir the pot. Luke's like, oh, so if she had an affair, things would be over. And he was like, yeah, and I would tell my kid that mommy fucked things up.
Oh my God,
was
that
like-
made me so
I'm
mad.
like, I hate all of you. I hope you drown.
I think that summarized Jesse up in one sentence.
It really did. Like, okay, so you're going to ruin their daughter's name, Isabel.
Mhm.
You're okay. That's real mature, pal.
So you're just going to deflect everything in your relationship onto your ex-wife
Mhm.
and have that be your relationship with your daughter.
Rather than try and take any accountability for why she might be having an affair
Mhm.
and not interested in your gross ass. But sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Luke's definitely stirring the pot. He wanted to bust open in that ITM. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. At the end where he's like, I could ruin their marriage.
Jesus.
Well, you just did, buddy. Like, just say it
yeah.
now.
Say it.
I hate people who vague post, vague talk. Say it or don't.
Yeah.
Get out of here with the vagueness. I'm not here for it.
I think that's pretty much episode 5.
Yeah. And then episode 6, not much better.
We see the men try to put together some furniture, which was
Okay. I understand full well that, like, I don't think it's men's job to put things together, right? Like, anybody can do it. It's important that we all know how to build our own IKEA furniture. It is. However, I was so unimpressed with them. I was just like, I can't. And not because you're men, but because you're being really stupid right now. And I just can't handle it. Read the fucking instructions.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I don't think they had instructions on how to take it apart.
No, they didn't. And like, yeah, that was just kind of a mess. I don't know. I don't like all of them anyway, so it didn't take much to knock them
Oh.
down a few rungs for me.
But Nia coming in and being like, so I have to do it? I was like, no, don't do it.
Don't do it for them.
Make
Don't
them do it.
do not let men play stupid. Just like I don't want women to play dumb, men don't get to play dumb either. Nobody
Yes.
gets to play dumb.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was kind of frustrating to witness. They all wind up at dinner again. Does anything happen really before that?
No, not really. I think Jax takes Brittany to the bar.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been wanting to get involved. And Jax is like,
I'll
"Bar-
let you pick paint colors.
Yeah, bars ruin relationships. And he's referencing like obviously Schwartz and Sandy's. I'm interested in how Jax is going to make money off of this bar if he has put no money into it. Like, how does that work?
I don't know. Jax is so stupid. Who knows?
Like, are they
Gonna like pay him like
pay him
a
to have his
portion,
name on there?
like 2% or something. I don't know.
Because, like, don't get me wrong, the Toms going into TomTom as 5% owners, like they're not going to make a ton off of it, but at least they put some money into it.
Sure.
So it's still an actual investment. I'm just interested on how that works, just being like the face of a business.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how it's his bar. I feel bad for Brittany, who just wants romance.
Well, and then when she tries to ask for it and tell him what she needs, he makes it all about how stressed he is.
He's like disassociating. He's like not present in that moment. He's just like, "Ugh, you're asking me to do one more thing? Did I just not tell you how stressed I am?"
And it frustrated me that she was like, "Oh, you seem really stressed," and da 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 da, and she immediately goes into like comfort mode when it's
Yeah.
like, "No, you were just explicitly saying something that you needed, and
Yeah.
now you're like."
Yes. That was really hard to watch. I didn't like that.
So then I think we have.
Oh, the one thing I wanted to talk
Oh,
about
okay.
is when Jax met up with Jasmine.
Oh, that really pissed me off.
Okay, so they're being like, Kristin better not tell anybody, as they're sitting there on a television show talking about it and like blaming Kristin for them talking about it.
Yep.
It was wild to me.
Also, though, I just have to say, I don't think any man I have ever dated would respond well to one of my girlfriends coming sit down with them and talking about our intimacy issues and thinking that I would get a result from my girlfriend having a heart to heart with my guy friend about what I need as his partner. Like,
The whole thing was a big overstep
like,
for me.
what?
That was just so that they could gossip about Michelle and Jesse feeling like his relationship is going to end in 2 months.
I know. I just hated that angle, though.
Me too. I hated it. It didn't sit well with me either. I was like, this is not. Also, Jax is not sitting there taking any of this in.
No.
He's just like, yep. Yeah. I know. Ew.
We do find out that Jesse thinks he's going to do ayahuasca to save his marriage.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. I went down such a rabbit hole specifically around this and grifters really trying to sell this mushrooms, ayahuasca as like some healing path forward. And listen, I'm not going to deny, like, I'm sure that those things can be helpful.
Yeah.
But they kind of have to go in tandem with therapy because you
Yes.
don't fucking know what you don't fucking know. And if you
Yes.
don't know how to be emotionally intelligent, drugs are not going to help you. Drugs are just drugs. You will
You're
be on
not-
drugs.
Yeah, you're not going to like wake up a new human. You might have like some spiritual breakthroughs, but you still need the foundation of like therapy is going to help you lay the foundation of like, these are the areas that I would like to grow and be a better human. And then as you build upon those and learn things about yourself, then you can open yourself up to experiences like that can like expand in the things you're already working on.
Right. Your ego can be set aside for a little bit of time where you can really sit with those harder things and be willing to look at them a little more honestly. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you're just a person on drugs.
Yep.
And I just like don't think that's the right move. And of
No.
course, that's what Jesse's going to do.
Oh, yeah, because that's like, hey, you know what? I hate therapy. I'm going to go do drugs.
Yeah. Smart. Get out of here. That makes me mad. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. Ew.
Okay, so then Jax is the face of a hair thinning company all of a sudden, which
Yeah.
actually might be fake. Like, I don't even think Jax is losing his hair.
No, and none of the ITMs believe him. They're just like, yep, Jax isn't going bald, but Jax will say anything to make a few $1,000s. So that was pretty funny.
I mean,
I love
his hairline looks pretty great to me. So
Same.
I guess that's a good look for the hair company.
Totally. But it made me laugh when Jesse is occasionally funny, but he's like, it's a cowlick. If he just like would brush it a different way, he would be fine. And like, yeah, cowlicks are a bitch for sure. And that's exactly what that is.
I think Danny Pellegrino was the one that was like, if Jax ever had a bald spot, you can believe that the editors would show you like a blown up shot of that bald spot right now.
Yeah.
And I think he's just taking the paycheck.
Oh, he's 1,000% just taking the paycheck. Yeah, that was a funny little bit.
And so the party goes to the Mondrian. Can we just like small world?
Yeah, I guess that's the only bar that exists.
I guess. Maybe it's easy to film there, but I'm like, wow, Mondrian.
Yeah.
The birthplace of Scandoval.
Is that where they were for dinner?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
Yeah. Interesting. How did this fight even break out at the table again?
Everyone keeps poking Jesse because he's being too quiet until he shares that his trip session
Oh.
made him realize his marriage is over.
Oh. Yeah. And then Kristin and Luke.
Yeah, Kristin gets involved, and that sets Jesse off.
And listen, Kristin is annoying as fuck in all of this. I get it. But you do not resort to physical violence.
No.
He like choked out that one guy trying to get to Kristin in the hallway, was like physically assaulting other people to like get his hands on Kristin. That guy has a fucking problem.
It was so messy.
Yeah.
It wasn't even fun messy. Don't get me
No.
wrong. Like, I love fun messy.
Oh,
but
like-
I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Fun messy where Jax and Sandoval and that other guy all end up in the parking lot with their shirts off screaming at each other.
Yes.
That's the kind of messy we want.
I don't want a man going violent towards a woman.
In a narrow hallway,
Yeah.
willing to hurt other people on the way.
Yeah,
Like, how
no.
is this guy even still on this show? That was really shocking to me. That made me very uncomfortable. Jesse, we already talked about this last time. Jesse makes us very uncomfortable, and this confirms all of that. Like, this is a guy who needs to, like, not do drugs and actually go to therapy.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah, I hated that. And then it ends with Kristin being like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done protecting it.
Which I will just say, like, at this point, you're not protecting anyone
No, you're
anymore.
threatening.
You're weaponizing something that someone trusted you with. So either just fucking say it and say it to her face.
Or stop talking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
like-
as though you're protecting her because you're not. It's so disingenuous. It made me really mad. And I'm like, I don't even feel bad for Kristin right now. I mean, she shouldn't have been attacked. Not saying that. But like the ire that she's getting from everybody else, I'm just like, you know what?
Well, she's making it hard for us to root for her when she's like, I don't know. It feels like she's really purposefully kind of creating this situation.
Yeah. I don't know. She's probably not. But she is. So
Well, she's not being very smart if she's not.
I don't know if Kristin's very smart. She cannot read a room. We know this. But like
Empathetic people can read rooms pretty well.
incredibly well. Your breathing shifts, and I'm like, everything
Oh.
okay?
Do
you feel okay?
Your tone of voice changed.
Yeah.
Oh, your body shifted.
You paused.
Oh.
You haven't looked to your left for a while. You know, like we are taking shit in. It is just like constant scanning and assessing.
Yep.
Perpetually.
Yep. Kristin is not doing that.
No, Kristin does not sense the climate in the room change. She does not see the looks to other people. Like fucking nothing. Kristin sees nothing.
Oh, the Valley. Jess and I are both having a hard time with it.
Yeah, it's just not my speed. And I also, man, Jack's talking about getting married and having kids and like doing all of this and just like not being happy with it gave me a lot of anxiety. Like that's also just, I can't.
I'm feeling a lot of feels for Brittany. And
Same.
as of right now, unless I have a reason to feel otherwise, I'm really glad that she left him.
Me too. Me too. She does not deserve any of what Jax is doing. And there's some weirdness with rumors, which we didn't even talk about because, like, fuck Jax on Vanderpump Rules fighting with Katie over how the internet works.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, there are photos and there is evidence to suggest that, like,
And Brittany unfollowed the woman.
yeah, like, and it was her manager.
Yeah, there's things.
There's things. So, and like, this isn't the first time. So I'm glad that Brittany's out, and I'm glad that she's also saying Jax really didn't expect her to stay gone, and she is, and she's done.
It just really deeply hurts me that she's sitting in these ITMs just saying how, like, she doesn't feel like Jax is attracted to her or, like, wants her. And she's sitting there with those massive boobs that she got for him.
Her face is all fucked up from other
Yeah,
plastic
and
surgery.
obviously she is, you know, she is her own person and she has a voice in making those choices. But I also think like she was manipulated by him and she has like invested so much in their relationship and it makes me sad to see her, I don't know, not feeling like good enough or like pretty or appreciated.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I think it's really too bad. And I think Jax is like an expert level manipulator in that way. I think he knows how to get under her skin. So it sucks.
Rotten hell.
Rotten hell. Yeah.
Anything else on the Valley? I guess we'll decide if we're gonna keep talking about it. I don't know.
I mean, we can just shit on it at the end of all of these episodes.
Okay.
We don't even have to like really cover it.
Okay.
But also if we don't, I guess message us if you're hanging on our every word for the Valley. But if we don't hear from you,
Then
no news means we're moving on. So now's your time.
Jess, so I posted this thing on our social media. It was like a poll asking like, hey, what else should we talk about? And it was like fitness, mental health, relationships, the cream filling, other shows, or like everyday life, whatnot.
Yeah.
And granted, not a ton of people participate in anything that we
For
post.
sure.
But guess what? We had like 5 votes, and neither you or I were those votes.
We had talked about at one point though, I did vote because I couldn't see the results. So I was like, I have to pick one.
Oh, no.
So I think I'm the only person that voted for fitness. So we should not talk about fitness. But you're right. I saw that people want us to talk about daily life and whatnot.
Yeah, and
I have bad news for you guys. I don't know what you think we do in our daily lives, but it's not exciting. But I'll give it. We'll pull something
well,
up.
my idea is more so like, I think we could maybe, and this is live, guys. We haven't talked about this before. But you know how every once in a while I'll feel like we'll have something that will happen in our lives and we can sit down and riff about that thing for quite some time.
Mhm.
And I think like sometimes it's a funny thing, sometimes it's a relatable thing, sometimes it's a hard or sad thing. And I think maybe we should just keep track about some of those things that we think would be like kind of fun to discuss with each other that we would normally do personally. And it could be like, you know, we'll cover a show and if and when we have those things, like let's end the episode with it. And if people want to hang on and
I like
be a
it.
part of us, then I think that could be cool.
Very. Okay.
And I think that occasionally that can be fitness and occasionally it can be mental health and relationships and occasionally it can be like family dynamics or like work related stuff or just like something that we are learning more about in therapy. I think it could be whatever, right? But I think something that I really appreciate about our friendship is the time that we invest into like listening to each other, supporting each other, and talking through things with each other. And so maybe there's a way we can bring an element to that to the podcast.
Yeah. You and I just have to remember to come out here and put our headphones on and turn the microphones on. When
I know
we talk,
you guys because we can just go.
Yeah, and then we're like, damn it, that would have been great for the podcast, but it's already done, and we're
We
drunk.
basically
and-
do a podcast before the podcast, just not with microphones.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I love that.
I'm just throwing that out there. We'd love your feedback on that if you didn't interact with our social media. And otherwise, we'll just keep kind of brainstorming that and figuring out what that looks like.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody.
We love you.
Bye. Drama Bonded is produced and hosted by Jessica Brumbaugh and Mandy Booth. Graphic designer is Pigeon House. Special thanks to everybody who has downloaded and listened to us. We are so grateful for your support. Thank you.